Alright guys, so in this video I wanted to talk about a fairly serious pattern, definitely a chronic pattern, that is getting more and more common, and it's obviously you can't see all I put all of the minerals in, but we're just focusing on the first four minerals in this video. As you can see, we've got a calcium shell. It's off the chart there at 300. Got a magnesium shell, but the most important thing is this sodium and potassium level. And we're seeing more and more people today with very, 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 very low sodium and potassium levels. And this is an indicator of someone who's in basically extreme chronic fight or flight, extreme burnout. Now, the challenging thing about this particular sort of pattern is that the person's in a calcium shell, so they feel calcified, they feel numb, they feel detached from reality, probably confused. But at the same time, their adrenal glands are completely burnt out. So, they're probably suffering from a lot of fatigue, but they might not be fully aware of their fatigue because we've got an extremely low potassium level. So when you get potassium of 4 or below, basically this is a sign of fight or flight. The person's in a fight or flight response. The lower the potassium, the more extreme that is. So a person's feeling numb, detached, emotionally withdrawn. Their adrenal glands are completely burnt out. However, their body is in this chronic state of fight or flight. So it's kind of like, putting the wheel down on a car and the wheels just spinning, 100 mile an hour. The lower the potassium level, kind of like the quicker the wheels keep spinning. And the analogy I'm trying to make is they're not going anywhere. One of the biggest symptoms, or one of the biggest things that happens, is that the mind is racing constantly, similar to the wheels on a car. If you put the pedal to the metal, so to speak, and the mind is racing tremendously, usually and often aimlessly. They'll just think about loads of different things at once. 1,000 things at once, and sometimes they'll just come back to the same spot and realise that they actually started at that spot and they've not actually got anywhere. This is what I mean by sort of aimless thinking. But the problem is that the condition is so chronic that the individual can't even stop it themselves, if that makes sense. So it's not only the pedal is down to the metal, but the person's not even got the foot on the pedal. There's a brick there. It's not even, they can't turn it off. Basically, it's stuck in this chronic state. Now, I think there's a secret to getting out of this pattern that's not talked about enough. A lot of practitioners will try and give potassium, and I personally find that that's not enough, because basically what's happening is the mind, the brain, it uses up so much energy, it kind of keeps the person stuck in this pattern, and it ends up being like a catch-22, where a person's trying to increase their mineral levels, trying to improve their adrenal burnout, but their brain is just going so quickly that it just keeps burning up minerals. So the person's trying to take all these minerals in, but probably not really getting anywhere, and they don't actually realise it's their thinking that's causing the situation mainly. And sometimes these individuals are not even fully aware of their thinking until they actually do something to try and deal with it. So whenever I find a client in this situation, the biggest thing that I will say to them is we have to get you doing some mindfulness. We have to try and get the brain slowing down. We have to, because I find that that's the quickest way of getting the people out of this particular pattern. And the best way to do it is through a technique, and the technique is basic. It's on our program reports, actually, on this application. There is some indicators actually on this report of this particular pattern. So we've got it's burned out sympathetic dominance. So not sympathetic dominance is basically fight or flight. So not only are they in fight or flight, they're in burned out. fight or flight response. And another pattern that's going to show up is severe burnout pattern. So not only are they in adrenal burnout, but they're also in severe burnout pattern. I think there probably should be another special name for this particular pattern. But yeah, there's two patterns there that basically sum up the situation. So there's probably no need for it. So yeah, the technique is to lie down, find a nice space. You can do this in a sauna, you can do this while doing an enema. But you know, they can bring their own issues actually with this particular pattern. And I'm not going to go into it in this video, but yeah, if you do want to become a client, then go to HTMA Pro, htmapro.com, htmapro.com/Lewis Moon, and you can see all of the options there. But yeah, sometimes you got to be careful with the enemas and the saunas for specific reasons, and you can only really get a feel for it when you actually speak to the individual, and whether it could be detrimental to them. But the mindfulness is essential in my experience, and basically lie down, find a nice warm space, and just concentrate on one hand, concentrate on one finger for 10 to 20 seconds at a time. So concentrate on the finger, 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds, whatever you want. I find 10 seconds to be pretty good, and then switch to another finger. Generally switch to a finger that's not directly next to it. It doesn't really make a big difference, but it means that you just got to put a bit more concentration in. Okay, we're going to go from the index finger to, the pinky, and then, the pinky to the middle, etc. So you've got to put a bit of thought into it. And what you'll find is the mind will be going at 100 miles an hour, and this might be the time when you actually realise what's going off. You're like, oh my god, I didn't even I knew I was an overthinker, but I didn't realise it was to this extent. And it'll feel like, it might feel like it's just a beehive, just, a wasp hive. And you start doing this exercise, and it's probably going to feel really difficult in the beginning. The more difficult it is in the beginning, the more you need to do it, basically. But just like anything, it's just like a muscle. And, what I say to people is, yeah, it might be difficult, but God, there's worse things, that you could be doing. So, you're lying down, you're in a warm environment, and literally all you've got to do is concentrate on the fingers like this, 10 to 20 seconds for about 10 minutes. Try and get 10 minutes down initially. Some days you'll struggle, some days you'll, might be able to do 5 because you're just having a really bad day. But the aim is to try and do 10 minutes and then work up to at least 20 minutes per day. And for people that are really chronic, you've kind of a good idea to just try and work up to a point where you're doing, you do 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, 20 minutes at night time. And after a while, you will get better and better and better at concentrating on the fingers, and the monkey mind, this racing mind, will start to slowly slow down, and you'll feel your body slowing down and coming out of that chronic fight or flight. You might start feeling more tired, you might fall asleep sometimes when you're doing it, and this is like the best sign you can get. You might start yawning, which is another great sign that you're, starting to slow down the sympathetic nervous system and get into more of a parasympathetic state. And you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And this is one of the secrets of getting out of this pattern. It doesn't have to be this extreme. I mean, we do recommend this exercise to everyone, really, but especially for those that are in a adrenal exhaustion, and especially those that have got this chronic fight or flight. I personally think it's a secret to getting out of it, because if you don't do something like this, you can do as much of the program as you want, and I do find people struggle because the brain is just using up so many nutrients, and it can't be switched off. You have to put some effort into switching it off. But it'll be the best thing you'll ever do after a few months, once you've really got the hang of it. All right, so thanks.